Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for inviting me here to Dubai to give this presentation for you. I know we are roughly 1 hour late, so I don't know if we're going to keep you all 1 hour later, but I'm trying to do my presentations 5 minutes shorter instead of 5 minutes later, so I had to speed up while I'm speaking. I'm going to speak about is LTE for everyone, and what about 2G? What about 3G? Is that going to be the death for 2G? And I can give you that answer even before I start. No, it's not. Norway 2011 is wrong to start and say it's been a disaster, but it's been a very hard year in many ways. We started in May with a major storm in Norway, which actually cut down our whole network for 5 hours between the southern part and the northern part of Norway. Actually, it was a machine which was supposed to dig in the ground, which didn't dig in the ground, but he was digging in the air. And he was taking down one of our main cables between the southern parts and the northern parts of Norway. And believe it or not, but 7 minutes later, it came a storm and took the other way. So it actually was no traffic between the southern part and the northern part of Norway for a few hours. So I had to rush into the TV station and say how this is able to happen in 2011. And later, we had a major software problems, which actually closed down, believe it or not, the entire mobile network for 11 hours. And I'm not very proud to say that this really happened. I cannot stand up here and say it's not going to happen again. But what I can tell you, it's not going to happen for 11 hours more. And all this due to a software complication with one of our suppliers. And this is quite terrible for our operator. But one thing I think is quite good about the whole thing is how we as an operator handle it. We don't see that any customers left us because of this. And I think the reason of that is the way we handle it in the press and towards the customers. And all the training we had done for such an emergency really worked, and everyone knew what to do. Okay, that was a bad thing. Now about the good things. Our GSM coverage in Norway is, what I would say, very good. 99.9% of the people in Norway do have GSM coverage outside their door. I'm not saying inside because I haven't been into their bedrooms, but according to what we can see when we measure the network, 99.9% should have. We had that network since 1993, and in 1st of December 2004, we opened 3G. 3G has 87.3% of the customers, but Norway is not like Dubai. It's a huge country with a lot of small villages, and many places people live is below 200 people in a village. And of course, it's difficult to do the rollout economy on those sort of places. 4G, actually, we had decided to call LTE for 4G. I know it's incorrect. I know it's not technically correct. But in Europe, the customers don't speak about LTE. They speak about 4G. That's why we say 4G. And excuse me, I know it's wrong. We are going to open the 4G network in 2012. We do have a test networks in 3 cities, but it's not going to be open for 2012. Handsets matters. And this, I think, is really important from a customer point of view. Or turn it the other way around. The customer don't really care. They don't understand why our network is not as good as it used to be. But a few years ago, we all went along with this sort of American phones with external antenna. I think they still use it in the US. but today, most of all sales is smartphones. I'm not going to say anything wrong about smartphones, but the radio part inside the phone is not as good as it used to be. And then we've got new cars with sunny glasses, we have got new buildings, and all this actually is making the network itself, it's the same or even better, but the coverage inside the house, inside the car, inside the building, inside your house, seems to be worse, even if the coverage itself is better. And that is very hard to try to explain to the customer. And then you have a beautiful 2G network, and you take a 3G network on the top. Most phones love to stay on 3G, even if they should switch. And of course, we can do some measurements, so we can put all the talkings from 2G to 3G. But we don't want that, do we? Because the customers, if you are on 2G, you can only speak. But when you are on 3G, you can do data and speaking at the same time. But this is a problem. There is also a problem with all the new blocks and buildings popping up. And it used to be a base station next door, and it's still next door, but it's popping up a new building between you and the base station, which also are giving us problems. I know this is not typical for Norway. This goes for you all, but it's something we all have to keep in mind when we speak about how our coverage is and how our customer really find our experience. From my point of view, the customer's demand for capacity, the customer's demand for coverage is actually the same wherever you are in the world. For instance, here at the hotel, the pictures on the left there, down, I took from my hotel room this morning. On some places in this hotel, you got 3G. On other places, I turned to 2G. If I should talk, it doesn't matter. If I've been living here and not using the Wi-Fi, it really matters, because I would be quite angry to getting this 2G network all the time, which stop the data and won't be able to have data and speed at the same time. But the customer, me inclusive, expect the network to be the same wherever you are. On top of on the left there is a road. Actually, I call it a tunnel without a roof. That's how many roads in Norway are. Quite hard to build. It's not hard to build, but it's very hard to get money paid back if you're going to build 3G coverage on those roads with 150 cars a day. The picture on the right, I didn't know whether I should present that picture to you, but I decided to do. We had a big ski event in Norway, a World Championship for cross skiing in February. And I brought my wife with me to this ski event. And I was in most newspapers in Norway and telling about how our capacity was supposed to be on this event. And I told them that talking shouldn't be any problem, SMS shouldn't be any problem, MMS shouldn't be any problem, but please don't stream the TV station while you are up there. Because it's no way we can handle capacity on a mobile network when thousands of people are streaming to see what's really going on. And since I was in one newspaper, two newspapers, three newspapers, and saying that, I thought my own family was reading the newspaper. But what was happening? Well, we were standing up there, and it was quite foggy. And if you are at an event like this, you see something doing a sport, and then it's 15 minutes when nothing happened, just fog. You don't know the results, you don't know anything. Then my wife took up her iPhone and started to stream. I said, oh, I got the results here. And then suddenly a lot of other people around did the same. And it worked, except on my phones. On my phone, I have this facility that I guess probably most of you have with push mail. But it's not push, it's actually email all the time. And then one sent me an email on 10 megabytes. And at that time, it was supposed to be 30,000 people up there. And it was 100,000 people up there. Another place, it was supposed to be 15,000. And it came 150,000 people. And when you do dimension for 15 or 30,000 at one place, and it's coming to 10 times, there's no way you can handle the capacity. So what's happening with my phone, who was getting this email all the time? It actually crashed down. There was no way I could get even one single SMS out. And what is that actually telling me? Well, it's telling me that it's really hard for an operator, even in 2011, to handle capacity. And one of the reasons is that on these places we don't have Wi-Fi. If we have Wi-Fi, you actually had to choose it manually, even in this room. Even if it's open, it's no password, but you had to go in and say accept. And this little thing that called accept is the little thing that most customer doesn't do. As a foreigner in Dubai, I do it. If you come to Norway, you will probably do it because the roaming cost is too high. But if you live in the country, you don't bother to do it. But you demand the coverage to be the same whether you are on the beach, whether you are in the car, or you are in the elevator. And you expect the 3G coverage to be the same as it is on 3G. Before this summer, I know this one is Norwegian, so it's a little hard to understand, but I'll try to explain it for you. Before this summer, we had 3G network in Norway, which were only covering on 2.1 megahertz, 2100. We covered, as I said, 87% of the people, but I think it's 27% of the total area. And as you can see on the one on the top on the left there, we have built every village with 200 people or more living. But as you can see, Norway is not Dubai, so it's a lot of places people don't live. Before the summer, we put on 3G on the 900 megahertz. So we actually changed the frequency on GSM on 5 megahertz. We got that available for 3G. And we increased the coverage on 3G to be equal to GSM. That was an enormously success. And we're going to do that in the coming next 3 years in most of Norway. And I think that that is even more important for the customer than 4G is going to be. This picture is a little bit hard, but try to explain to you. This is telling the frequencies we have in Norway, how we think we are going to do it in the future, and how we have done it in the past, and how we're doing it today. As you can see, on the left is saying GSM 900. To make it easy, we have GSM 900 nearly everywhere. On the roads, in most of the trains, not all over, but quite a lot. Along the seaside, in the airports, in the hotels, nearly everything. But people doesn't think that is enough anymore. So they demand 3G. So we started with 3G with only 384 kilobits. That was quite high when we opened it in 2004. We heard a lot today about capacity. Today, or actually in 2005, we increased it from 3.6 to 3.6 megabytes on every 3G stations. Today, we have introduced 7.2, 14.2, and even 21 megabytes. GSM 1800, I'm not going to speak a lot about, because that we did for capacity reasons before we got the 3G license. We do have a license, though, on 4G LTE on 2.6. We have covered 2 cities and 1 little spot in Spitsbergen on 78 degrees north, on a little place where 2,000 people is living only, just to see how this network is working. But if we are going to build LTE 4G to everyone, it's a question about 2 things. First of all, frequency, second, capex. If you don't get the digital dividend, the LTE frequencies on the 800 megahertz is no way whatsoever we can build 4G LTE other places than the major cities. We actually need the 4G on 800 megahertz to build enough capacity. But as you all know 4G LTE is, as per today, not for talking unless you use VoIP. So from our point of view, 3G is even more important. If you go into, I don't know if it's the same here in Dubai, but it's like this in UK and in Norway and most other countries. If you use a bank terminal, that one is normally going on GSM. It could go on the Wi-Fi, it doesn't go on 3G. So from our point of view, we will have GSM network, I would say, in another 14 to 15 years at least. I know our license is going out in 2007, but I think we're going to apply and I think we're going to get it, and running the GSM network at least to 2024, 2025. And machine-to-machine communication is so much today based on the fixed line or the GSM network. And that industry is not up to date because there's no 3G and it's no 4G. So it's no way we can stop on our 2G network. We have done enormously swap in Norway. We've been changing the whole infrastructure, the whole network of 10,000 base stations in 6,355 different spots within the last 14 months. This week, we are finished. Then we got one new rack, which has got 2G, 3G, and is ready for 4G. We do not have enough fiber or antennas and everything this on each station, but it's ready for it, and that wasn't the old one. So that has been an enormously thing we have done for the last 14 months. It's been very hard work, and what we found there is after the swap, we had some quality problems in our network. For the engineers would say 1 week, but I said 3 to 4 weeks, because you had to measure the whole network up again with new neighbors, because the new Huawei doesn't really reach as long as the Nokia Siemens did, or sometimes it's reached longer, so we had to put new neighbors in, and yeah, it's quite a lot of work, but it's been a success, and we have finished this week. For 2012 and 2013 and 2014, we are going to do enormously investment in our network in Norway. We should, as you can see here, have the most powerful mobile network in Scandinavia, in Norway. That means we are still building out 2G, not very much, but still doing it. We are rolling out 3G on 2.1 on 900 megahertz, and we really hope to get the license on the 4G network so we can roll out LTE 4G on the 800 megahertz. That's going to be really important to get the coverage, the capacity that all our customers need. I'm not going to speak very much about each and every picture you have got here, but what I'm trying to do is putting myself as a customer. I know that some of the management and some other people in Telenor say, Bjorn, don't even try, you're not a customer anymore. But I still pay the bill, even if I got it refunded from Telenor, so I think I'm a customer. So I'm trying to see, how does we use our network at home? How is this going to impact our future? How does a customer really use the different services from our operator? And since we are a lack of time, I'm just going to do it quickly. This is my house, and we've got 4 children. Everyone has got their own PC connected with Wi-Fi. We have got TVs with got Wi-Fi included. One of the TV got 100 megabyte fixed line from the cable TV included. And actually, I think that is going to be tomorrow's use of TV, which is here today already. So when people say that it's enough to have 2 megabytes at home, I find that very hard to believe. In this house, I got one line with 100 megabytes. I got another ADSL with 20 megabytes, and I got the mobile network for myself with 7.2 megabytes. And all the PCs, all the TV is speaking together so we can share information. And if you look at this picture, this one is actually telling the story about how things have changed the last 2 years. We were all wondering, what's going to happen after SMS? The big bang, the big boom from SMS. We sent out press releases on 3rd of January telling, oh, it's a new world record. So many SMS has been sent. And then suddenly Facebook turned up. And Twitter turned up. It changed the whole industry about how the customers actually are using it. Today, they use Facebook, and Facebook is, I guess you all, or most of you, have got Facebook on your phone. But what people do this year, which they didn't do last year, they go to a concert or a sports event, and they take a video stream about what's going on the concert. And they put the pictures and the video into Facebook while they are there. So 2 years ago, 1 year ago, we were speaking about how to handle capacity for talking and SMS. Today we speak about how to get enough capacity for Facebook, for Komoyo, for WIMP. When I am out with my bicycle and doing a training, I listen to WIMP, which is a radio, sort of a radio station where you download all the music in the world and get it on the air on your phone while you're out there. And this is actually changed the traffic enormously in our network. And this is why we really need 4G. As another speaker said, or maybe it was all the people sitting over there, if you don't get LTE soon enough, it's going to break down. We need 4G, we need LTE in order to handle all the capacity we know is going to increase. And tomorrow it is here already. Highlights of Little Norway in 2011. For those of you who've been in Norway or in London, there's this terrible mobile network on the Gatwick Express, Heathrow Express, and the Oslo Airport Express as well. So now we are building 3G inside, outside, all the trains for up and down from the airport. We're building 3G and ready for 4G on all tubes in the city of Oslo. I'm going to open that within next summer, I guess. And we have started, as I told you, with 3G on 9 megahertz, which has been a very successful story, and we're going to increase that enormously for the next 2 years. I think I tried to speed up a little now, so and also to keep you awake after the beautiful lunch. So I guess that was my presentation for you. Hope it gave you some new information, and wish you a very good day after this. Thank you. Do we reach one question, or? Yes. Yeah?
I really appreciate the fact that you speed it up. So any question from the audience? Yes, there is one here.
Thank you. It's Christian Kern from JP Morgan. 3 questions, if I may, Bjorn. Very interesting presentation, and I'm not sure if I read your chart correctly on the spectrum, but I was wondering where you feel LTE is most effective and efficient on which spectrum band. If I read that correctly, it pointed towards the 900 spectrum probably, because that's where you deploy it, but just to clarify. Second question would be, how do you think about the complexity of running several networks in parallel? You have a 2G network, you've got a 3G, you've got an HTTPA, then you're going to add a fourth one, the LTE. And the third question is, I've come across the problem of LTE TDD, which I understand doesn't allow any handover of cells, so it's basically no longer 100% mobile. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on this technology. Thank you.
I don't think I can answer all the questions without try to find out to say what I know when I'm speaking here. When it comes to LTE, we need LTE on 800 megahertz to build the capacity, and we need 800 megahertz, what we call the digital dividend, that we need for coverage. But on all spots we put 800, we also need 2.6 to get capacity. If we only have 2.6, we don't get any coverage except a little circle around. And indoor coverage is also much better with 800. That's why we have planned with 800, and we really hope to get that license, but it's not licensed in Norway yet, and 2.6 to get coverage and capacity. And the same goes with 3G, that all spots we put up 3G on 900 megahertz, we have 2.1 as well, on the same reason. This is about how the different networks is working together. It's not a very quick answer to that one, because that also is about different phones. How is the phone itself working? Take the iPhone 4 as one typical phone. That one is telling you to stay on 3G network as long as possible when it is in idle. When you're speaking, it's turning, then you can, as an operator, can push the customer quickly over to 3G if it's too much noise or if it's too much traffic or whatever, but you can't do that in idle. So what we actually have been seeing, which I don't like, is that people is cutting off on places where it was beautiful before. And the reason is it's staying on 3G too long, and it's very hard to do that when it's come to phones in idle. And then you've got all the tunnels in Norway, which are actually blocking the signals very, very fast. So what we are doing now is changing all repeaters in all tunnels in the major roads from 2G repeaters to 2G, 3G repeaters, so we can handle most of the traffic in the 3G network. I think that is what I managed to answer here now.